Welcome to Epitrapaizoume. Hi, my name is Elia.
And mine Vangelis. And today's game under our microscope will be Creekos.
A new exciting card game around the Greek mythology and the adventures of Hercules.
Enter the fascinating world of Creekos, where players have to use their power of Zeus, the strength of Hercules, and the cunningness of Hera. Use the mighty bow of Hercules or his fearsome club to beat your opponent's powerful cards.
Strategy, thought, cooperation, wit, even risk are needed to declare the truly winner of this game.
Creekos is a fast trick-taking game full of surprises and fresh ideas. On the plus side, Creekos cards and their associations have an extra educational dimension, since they can be used to teach the labors of Hercules to the younger ages.
Creekos is played by 2 or 4 players, and a session lasts approximately 30 minutes. Let's take a quick look on the components.
After opening the box, the following are revealed. One deck of Creekos cards consisted of 52 cards, one bidding board, 4 12-sided dice, 19 tokens, 15 plus 2 cubes, that's for point difference, 4 pawns for point payment, and finally one rulebook with illustrated examples.
Let's go and set up a game for 4 players. That's 2 teams, 2 players on each team, and see how the game plays.
Creekos is a trick-taking game with a customized deck that pits 2 partnerships against each other. The first part of the game is the auctions, by which partners attempt to make their cards powerful at the start of the game by offering points. After the auction, they join the battle to win as many tricks as they can. The partners who at the end of the game have the most points are declared the winners. A deck of Creekos cards consists of 2 different types of cards. The first type is events, and they are colored in brown, and the second type of cards are the associations, and they have 4 colors. That's blue for gods, green for people, red for a creature, or grey for lifeless.
Let's see the number scales. Every card in Creekos has 3 power numbers, 1 on the top, 1 in the middle, and 1 at the bottom scale. In each game, only one of them is activated. So when a scale is activated, the power of all the players' cards is expressed by the number in the corresponding scale.
In our example, the strongest scale is the middle one, the second row. A simple and fast way to determine which scale of your cards is the most powerful is just add the red numbers. Where you have the most sum, there your scale is the strongest.
Card relations. What is a Creekos link? Each event card is related to 4 association cards, one of each category. This connection is called Creekos. Now it is obvious that the 5 associated cards have the same number in all scales. That is 12, 6, and 5.
This is a Creekos link. The text at the bottom of each card adds specific flavor to this labor of Hercules. If read all together, people can get more information about what happened in this story and learn more about the Greek mythology. A closer look on one of the cards reveals the following. There is space on each card for the title, the corresponding picture, the unique card code, the text, which is part of the story, the 3 different number scales, and finally the Thunderbolts, if any, on the card.
Card setup. From each Creekos deck of cards, the cards with no numbers have an educational role, and they are not used in the game. The player of each team sits opposite his teammate. The cards are divided into 2 stacks. One is the event cards, and the other is the association cards. From the association stack, each player takes 1 card. The player with the most powerful one is the dealer of our first game.
In this example, this is a winner. He starts dealing cards. The most powerful cards are first gods, blue, then people, green, then creatures, red, and last lifeless, grey. If two or more players have the most powerful cards, then the player with the highest number in the top scale deals. Card dealing. The player who deals gives each player, starting from the player on his left, 2 event cards face up, they are placed in front of each player, and 10 association cards face down, shown only to the player who takes them. Creekos has 2 parts, the auctions and the battles. Auction. At the start of every game, 2 auctions are held, one for the number scale and one for the trump color. Auction for number scale. In this stage, the players try to make their cards more powerful by offering points. Specifically, they check their cards and they check where their numbers are the strongest, that is, which scale have the highest numbers 11, 12 or 13. They declare with a 12-sided dice how many points they offer in order to activate a particular scale. The player who offers the most points activates the scale for the whole game. In that way, the players who have cards in the high numbers in that scale gain the advantage against their opponents, since the power of all the player cards is expressed by the number in that scale and that scale only. The dealer goes first. He checks his cards and focuses on the scale where he has the highest numbers. Our blue player, player number 1, has the middle scale, the strongest, where he has the highest numbers 11, 12 and 13. He decides how many points he wants to sacrifice in order to bid for that scale, takes the 12-sided die and say he wants to bid 3 points. He places the die faced up with number 3 on that specific scale, indicating that he wants to play in the middle scale.
The second player decides to pass.
He takes the corresponding token and places it in front of him on the board, indicating that he wants to pass.
The third player decides to pass as well. The fourth player, after checking his cards, goes for the bottom line, and he is willing to sacrifice 4 points.
It's the first player's turn again. He decides to raise the bid. He goes from 4 that the previous player has bid to 5, keeping the same scale as he wishes. The fourth player now decides to pass. He thinks it's too much to stay in the game and lose all these points for the scale. After the auction bidding, since the first player has won, it is decided that the middle scale will be activated. We indicate this on the board by placing the corresponding token. We're going to play for the middle scale. The first player that won the first auction for the scale has to lose the 5 points that he promised to sacrifice. Therefore, he takes his pawn and he reduces the initial point he has by 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, indicating that he lost 5 points in order to gain the advantage of his preferred scale. Game continues with the trump auction. The process which follows is similar to the number scale auction. The difference is here that the player states with a 12-sided dice the category, that's the color, he wishes to be trump for the game, or the case to not activate any trump for this game. The player who goes first is the player that's sitting left from the dealer. In our case is player number 2. Player number 2 checks his cards and he finds that he has a lot of red cards, so he's going to play red for the trump. He's willing to sacrifice 1 point. He takes his 12-sided die and places it with the number 1 faced up in front of the red color from his side of the board. Player number 3 decides that he doesn't want to have any trump for this game. He's willing to sacrifice 3 points. Therefore, he's placing the die with the number 3 below the place for the corresponding not having any trump in the game spot. It's player number 4 turn. He has a lot of green cards, therefore he decides to spend 5 whole points for playing with green as a trump in this game. Player number 1 turn again. He decides that he doesn't want to play any points, to sacrifice any points, since he has lost a lot of points in the scale auction. He's going to pass. Player number 2 decides to pass as well, because he's not willing to sacrifice more points. he's placing the corresponding token in the pass area. So does player number 3, placing his token in the pass area because he's not willing to spend more points. That means that the color trump has been decided. This game is going to be played with green as a trump color. We take the green color and we place it in the corresponding area of the board, indicating that green is going to be the trump for this game. Once again, the player who won the auction must lose the points that he was willing to bid. Therefore he takes his pawn, losing 5 points because he won the color trump auction. So to summarize, in this game, players are going to play with a middle scale, and the trump for this game is going to be green. At the end of the auction, the player or team which gave the least or no points at all takes point difference cubes of the value which is equal to the difference of the offered points in both auctions for their opponents. Basically what happens is a red cube costs 3 points and a yellow cube 1 point. The teams compare the points they spent and the winning team takes the difference from the other team. In our example, Team A spent 5 points, so did Team B, therefore no one is going to take point difference cubes for each other. They start equal. Let's see another case scenario. In this case, Team A spent 5 plus 1, 6 points for the 2 auctions. Team B spent 5 plus 5, 10 points for the 2 auctions. The difference, 10 minus 6, is 4 points. Therefore, 4 points of cubes, 3 plus 1, is going to be given to the team that spent the less points. They put the cubes in front of them, indicating the score difference between the 2 teams.
The 12-sided dice, the points payment pawns, as well as the pass tokens are taken off the board.
We're not going to be using them for the rest of the game. We simply remove them to leave space for the tricks that's going to be played.
Card dealing. The first player of the first round is the player who has spent the most points in the auctions. In this phase, the players deal cards in 12 rounds. Each player deals 1 card in each round. Out of these, 1 is more powerful, and each player wins the round. Each round gives the winner 3 points, apart from the last round that gives 8 points. For a card to be declared the most powerful, it has to be active. Active are the cards which participate in the process of declaring the most powerful cards, whereas the dot cards do not participate.
What about the first color? The first color is the color of the first card on each round. Let's see some examples of trick-taking in the game. First example. The first player goes first. He decides to play a blue card. Remember, we're playing for the middle scale, and the trump is a green card. He plays this card. He is followed by the second player, who plays a less powerful card. Why? Because he played 13 in the middle scale and he played 12 in the middle scale. He's followed by the third player, who plays a weak card with 6 in the middle scale, and by the fourth player, who plays also a weak card with a number 5 in the middle scale. Out of these 4 cards, the strongest one, the more powerful one, in the middle scale, is the card played by player number 1. Therefore, he wins the trick. His team takes 3 points. That's another red cube from the bank, adding it to the difference between the 2 teams.
The player who won the last trick is the player who goes first in the next round.
Second round and a second example. The first player goes first, playing a grey card. We're playing in the middle scale and his number is 13. Player number 2 doesn't have anything better and he plays another grey card with 5 in the middle scale, followed by the third player, who also plays a weak card, just 8 in the middle scale, and last goes the fourth player, who plays a green card. A green card is a trump for this game. Therefore, it wins the rest of the cards regardless of the middle scale. Even though it is 11 against 13, since it's the trump, it's going to win all the rest of the cards. And that team is going to take 3 points out of the difference and given to the second team, reducing the score. Keep in mind that each time a player starts a round with one color card, that's say a blue card, the second player, if he has blue cards, he has to play a blue card. He's forced to follow color, to follow suit. Let's see another example. Player number 4 starts a round since he was the one that won the last trick. He's checking his cards and he's playing a creature with strength 11, that's the middle scale. He's placing his card in front of him. Player number 1 now has to follow suit, so he's also playing a red card, a creature, that is weaker than the previous one. But he has to follow since he has red cards. Player number 2 thinks he's going to win this trick because he's bringing a trump color into the game, a green one, therefore winning so far the trick. But unfortunately for him, player number 3 has created a Creekos link by playing this event card and winning the game. He's winning the game because he's created a Creekos link by covering the previous card with his event card. Therefore, he just created the Creekos link and he's winning the trick. 3 points are returning from the opponent team to his team, restoring the point difference.
Thunderbolts. The Thunderbolts can be found on the association cards. They are activated when a player deals a card with a Thunderbolt on it. The Thunderbolts are actions which can affect not only the card with a Thunderbolt but also the other cards. To activate each Thunderbolt, the card which contains it must be active. Let's see the Thunderbolts. Event Cancellation makes all the active events cards dead cards.
Simply turn the active card that's affected sideways to indicate that it's dead.
Trump Cancellation makes all the active cards which have been or will be played as trump in the round dead cards. Different number changes the power number of the card that has it to 13, regardless of the scale. Different color changes the color of the card which has it to any color. For a player to activate the different color Thunderbolt, he has to declare to which color he is changing the card to, by placing the corresponding token on it when he plays it. However, there are cards that have more than one Thunderbolts on it. For example, the Zeus card that has 2 Thunderbolts.
Thunderbolt Cancellation. A player may decide that he doesn't want to activate a Thunderbolt on the card he just played. Therefore, when he plays a card that has a Thunderbolt on it and he doesn't want to activate the Thunderbolt, he simply places the corresponding token on the card to indicate that he is not going to be used the special ability of each Thunderbolt. Let's see an example of Thunderbolt. Player number 4 starts the game by playing a blue card with 13 in the middle scale. Player number 1 follows with a trump color, green, which so far wins the trick. Player number 2 decides to play a blue card with a trump cancellation Thunderbolt. If you check from a closer look, this Thunderbolt cancels the trump cards, therefore it is turned dead. Player number 3 plays a blue card, which is weaker, unfortunately, from this card, therefore this player helped his teammate to win the trick for the team, and therefore winning 3 points in this round.
Keep in mind that the most important round is the final round, that scores 8 points instead of 3 for the winning team. Who wins the game? The winner is the team who at the end of the game has at least 1 point more than the opponent team.
This is how the game looks like But keep in mind that it is the first version, the prototype version of the game. The Creekos team is going soon to publish the second version, which is going to have enhanced graphics, top-notch components, and much more. Also, there is the online version of the game, which is available to users on the website of the Creekos game. Just simply visit www.creekos.com and you will explore a new world with online gaming and much more.
Νυπτώσεις με φρικότητε κατάλουσιν ημάσις άτομοι δαιμόνων βρώσισες.
Greek mythology, a rich and fascinating world yet to be discovered.
Creekos, the card game, besides being a clever trick-taking game, opens a door to the mystic, fearsome mythological adventures of Hercules, the strongest man ever lived on Earth, favored by the gods. We hope that you enjoyed this video. Till next time, you're watching
Επιτραπέζουμε!